The Oxford Languages Dictionary defines guilty pleasure as something such as a movie, television program, or piece of music that one enjoys despite feeling that it's not generally held in high regard. And it can be applied to video games, like using the Riot Shield, unironically, or playing Genshin Impact, unironically. But for me, my guilty pleasure has to be Roblox. You saw it in the thumbnail, this shouldn't be a surprise to you. Now, if you don't have the brain power of an unfilled dumpling, it's probably not that hard to tell why I would consider Roblox to be a guilty pleasure. It is a platform that, for the most part, is geared towards younger audiences, and I will admit that I do have a history with the game, as there was a time where I was part of that younger audience. Growing up with the Nintendo 64 and a Wii without internet connection, my only experience with online gaming was on the family computer, where I really only had access to Realm of the Mad God and, as the title of the video suggests, Roblox. But first, let's look at what Roblox actually is, because despite the way that it seems to present itself, Roblox is not a game, but a platform, which is what I will be referring it to from here on in. While it started as a physics simulation that people used purely for entertainment, it quickly ended up becoming more of a gaming experience rather than a simulation, and over time it became less of just a game, but into a platform for games to gather. One of the big reasons Roblox can have so many games within it is because it's all user created, which not only means that many different experiences are available at all times, but it also has this almost humble and personal feeling to it. It's 100% indie after all, and there's a certain charm that comes with indie games, especially when it's done right.
And it certainly seems to have worked, as it's one of the most popular gaming platforms on the internet, which is admittedly a little hard to quantify since Roblox seems to be the only one of its kind. Yeah, sure, Steam could be considered a platform, and really anyone can upload their games to it, but Steam themselves don't actually provide the tools to create said games. And the Roblox Studio application, to my knowledge, is a very usable program.
And while I don't know the first thing about making a game, there's clearly some value to it if the sheer number of games here is anything to go off of. Plus, it's fostered its own pretty sizable niche in the content creation side of things. Seriously, I thought Minecraft was oversaturated. I was not prepared. There is a lot. One of the most prominent of these creators is Flamingo, and just taking a look at their channel, it is very clear that they're doing something right. Now, the start of this wild crusade actually started a wee back when I was working on my Super Mario 64 speedrunning video. In that, I had found that two of the most popular speedrunning games were both Roblox games by the name of Doors. So with no research, I went ahead and downloaded Roblox. Apparently it has a standalone launcher now. I'm not particularly sure how to feel about that. Not that it's a bad launcher by any means, it does the job perfectly fine, and it loads stuff faster, but it was just stuck in the browser for so long I just felt like that was normal for Roblox. I went ahead and explored the launcher a bit more. I dripped out my little dude with what remained of my Robux and looked up the game. Doors is a roguelike horror game where you go through random assortments of pre-generated rooms. A horror game in Roblox. Nah, I'm sure it's nothing. You didn't hear anything because I wasn't recording my voice, but I can assure you that there was a mini heart attack from a Roblox game. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a mass and this is why I don't play horror games. But color me surprised to have come back to this platform and still genuinely enjoy something it had to offer. And if I'm being honest, I would not be able to tell that this was a Roblox game if the default UI wasn't there. So, it's a horror game. Is the game scary? Well, admittedly, it did get me a few times when I first played. Of course, after you play a bit, it gets more expected, and turns out things become less scary the more often they happen. Go figure. But even past that, I had a lot of fun with this, and while I don't see how it's a game for speedrunning, I can still admit that it's a game worth playing. But what if you want a different kind of horror game? Instead of monsters and dark rooms, maybe you want to experience being in food service, which is a horror all in itself. Welcome to Bloxberg, a game I remember refusing to play. Yeah, 12-year-old me never liked this one for some reason, but trying it out today, I gotta say I quite like it. The game is basically The Sims, but with a twist. Instead of being some omnipresent onlooker controlling the actions of a household, you get to play as, well, you. Which is something I always thought was missing from The Sims, at least most of the releases. Some of the games let you wander as your sim, but it wasn't common. It keeps building pretty much the same, why fix what isn't broken? And like The Sims, it's an absolute joy to build whatever you want. I've always loved games that let you just make things. Plus, I must admit, I was a lot more motivated to make a nice house in this game than the actual Sims, since you get to actively live in whatever you created. I made this little wooden cabin. I think it's very cozy. I quite enjoyed living out my own daily routine in a house that I made with my own two hands. And while being a homeowner and decorating is fun and all, it does get pretty expensive, and this game still makes you pay taxes. I guess you gotta teach them young that the IRS doesn't mess around. So to prevent yourself from getting evicted, you're gonna need to get a job. Honestly, all the jobs here are pretty basic, though one thing that this game has that The Sims doesn't is that you have to actually work and can't speed up time. There is fast food work, you can be a janitor if that's your thing, you can be a pizza chef. Actually, hold that thought. Pop quiz, what's the best kind of pizza? A, pepperoni pizza, B, cheese pizza, C, mushroom pizza, or D, pineapple pizza? Go on, take your time, I can wait. Wrong, you're all wrong. You're all stupid with your stupid little answers. The best kind of pizza is any pizza with no sauce. Isn't that just cheesy bread with extra steps? No, this is even better. And if you want bonus points, you get the marinara sauce on the side for dipping. You can all think I'm crazy, but this is peak pizza performance. I am the civilized type. I like the blood of Italians on the side, thank you very much. Oh yeah, the game is pretty cool too. Moving on, Phantom Forces. Now, this is a game that I remember. I played the hell out of this back when I was using a retired office PC, which couldn't run Overwatch or Call of Duty, nor did I have the income to buy the games if I could. So I was stuck with this, and looking back, man, I am impressed that this is real. When I think of Roblox, I think of jank, surface-level mechanics, and kids games. And while that's all true, it's Roblox. It's not a AAA game. It's not going to be perfect. But for what it is, I think this is a legitimate replacement for Call of Duty if you can't play that game. Listen, it's not perfect, but I enjoyed my time with it then, and I have to say I still enjoy it now. There are so many guns, it's ridiculous. The level of customization here is unreal. I do know that it's a Roblox game and the models are much simpler to make, but why don't new games have this ridiculous amount of weapons? Legitimate question though, because I honestly don't see why they wouldn't. But either way, it's a really fun experience, and if you avoided Roblox before because it's mostly boring kids games, then you might want to give this a shot. While yes, it is pretty toned down on the violence side of things, the gameplay is still really solid and honestly surprises me how this is even a Roblox game. But now looking at something a little bit different, Theme Park Tycoon 2. I can't lie to you guys, this has become an addiction of mine. I really like the idea of making my own amusement park, plus it has some pretty diverse tools to let you make virtually whatever you want. And in addition to that, it has the same advantage as Bloxberg does in the sense that you get to roam around your own park and ride your own rides. It's a lot of fun. And to top all of that off, it's an online game. It's only a short walk away to go and see what others in your server have made, and some of these can get really impressive. I've tried Planet Coaster and games similar to it, but I often struggled to actually get used to the micromanaging side of it. But in this, you don't need to worry too much about that. You can really just make whatever. It's more creativity focused, which is something I can really appreciate. And that's that. 4 games on Roblox that are good. Now, let's look at the rest. Yeah, I do understand now why Roblox is looked down upon. Aside from the general focus on younger players, there is a lot of seemingly mobile game trash here. It is kind of hard to ignore. There is no shortage of idle games in disguise. A lot of them are insert thing here simulators. Weapon simulator, speed simulator, flight simulator. These are just idle games. They even have auto fight and auto run buttons, not to mention how they are most blatant with their pay to win mechanics. This one even has a most money spent leaderboard. This is, I can't wrap my head around this. Something like paying for overlapping assets or extra space in some of the other games could be arguably pay to win, but it's just adding more to your own creative devices. And I guess I could justify that as DLC, but this, I can't even reason this out to myself on why people would buy this. This kind of thing is unfortunately rampant all over Roblox, which I honestly think is a shame considering about how many more good games are here, even past the ones that I've already mentioned. They're genuinely good video games, Roblox or not, but the trash definitely brings everything else down. It is, however, kind of hard to judge a game on its trashiness when the game itself seems to be self-aware of that fact and play into it. Like making a scam call center to save your friend. Like, this is a real thing that people play. You make scam calls and scam people. Sometimes the IRS shows up, that's cool. Yeah, looking at something else, Hamburger. This isn't really much of a game, more so just watching a collection of events happen that you just need to activate. This is weird. You get shot by a burrito while trying to rip off Dragon Ball. It's a little weird. I was surprised to see how little sports games there were, despite the AAA industry being pretty much littered with them. However, I am happy to see that we are still gamifying the most boring sport of all, golf. It's mini golf here and not full-on golf. It is one of the only sports that I think is fun in a video game. Of course, this is no Mario Golf, but I think it's fun nonetheless. It is a wee anger-inducing to see how bad some other players are since you have to wait for everyone to be done to go on to the next hole. Moving from boring sports to blood sports, Arsenal. It's just a fun game. I don't really like gun game. I mean, Arsenal itself is fun, in spite of being just the gun game mode. I do wish I could have this arcadey feeling shooter in a more normal game mode, though I must say that I feel like it might lose a bit of its charm if that was the case. There are some weapons, though, that just drive me mad. Speaking of driving, there are a lot of racing games. Most of them function well enough. This one is basically a traffic violation simulator. I mean, it's not the best racing game ever, which, by the way, is Most Wanted. Fight me. But I did find something that is really good that didn't have cars in it. Super Blocky Ball. It's a marble racing game that feels somewhat similar to Monkey Ball, but if it had Mario Kart-like tracks. I really like this game, probably a little bit more than I should, and it's a shame that the player count is so low. Normally that would discourage me from wanting to put any real time into it, but it's just so satisfying to master these tracks. The marbles feel weighty, but are not uncontrollable. I love this kind of thing. But you want to know what I really don't love? Rouge Lineage. There are some games that aren't free to play. Some of them require you to pay up to access them. This is one of those games. I distinctly remember buying this and having no idea what to do once I actually got in and never touching it again, just letting it rot in my favorites list because I felt obligated to put it there because I had paid for it. The description makes it sound like this hardcore roguelite with permanent death and offspring to become your new characters, passing down your traits. You know, a lineage. A cool mechanic for sure, but as you'll soon see, I wasn't able to actually interact with it. The game does warn you up front that it doesn't hold your hand, which I appreciate. I think it's good when a game trusts the player to figure things out, but this game tells you nothing. I was stuck in spawn because some dude was waiting outside the gates and just kept killing me, and it's not like I can fight back because I didn't have a weapon. I only escaped because they were too busy fighting some other poor soul. But what awaited me outside spawn was just nothing. There are many things in the distance which I'm sure are cool, but I can't reach them because they require the ability to climb, which the game doesn't tell you how to get. I was told by another player that I needed to level up to unlock these things, but there aren't any enemies around, only players, which I can't kill because they have weapons and I don't. So I just wandered more. Honestly, the game does have one thing going for it, and that's the sheer scale of it. While the world itself may feel pretty empty, it's still really big, which is a lot of the reason why I just kept exploring. Eventually I found some potatoes. I couldn't eat them or throw them at people, and trust me, I tried. I robbed a house of its old valuables and sold them for silver. Now I have silver. That's fun, I think. I finally got a sword, and there seems to be some depth to the combat, but I wouldn't know because there's nothing here to fight. After about 20 minutes of wandering around, harassing the locals for chores to do so I can afford a bit of armor, I found myself at this green, foggy area. Some ambient noise kicked in. Finally, something's happening. I wandered a bit more and found some NPCs enemies. It's about time. Though, it's not like that means very much because I died immediately. I lost all my stuff, and I thought that this is a PvP roguelike. Surely my stuff is still there. So I bolted my way back to the swamp where I died, and my stuff was not there. I died again and respawned somewhere completely different. I explored some more and found more towns. I got attacked several more times. It just makes no sense to me. I pose no threat, really. And then I eventually just stopped playing. This game made me really angry. Not because I paid for it, that was a long time ago, but because I can feel that there's a real game here just out of my reach. I want to like this game. It seems like something that would be right up my alley, but the game is just too stubborn and barren to let anyone else in. There are temples and caves just out of reach. I want to go there, but I can't level up. It's a mess. And God forbid you would end up getting something and then dying. I took a chance and gave this game 2 hours of my life that I'm never gonna get back. But with that, I'm done taking risks. Time to ask the internet what kids are playing these days, because it's definitely not Rouge Lineage. Most popular Roblox game. Alright, we have a website. Let's see what this is. Alright, let's see here. Adopt Me. All right, 27 billion visits. That's almost 4 times the human population on this one game. Okay, it must be good with those numbers. Let's check it out. I don't get it. I mean, it must be doing something right to have so many players, but this might just not be for me. Yeah, it's a little bit weird. There are quite a few weird ones. Hyundai Mobility Center, Walmart Land, Laundry Simulator, Cheese Escape, Kaiju Paradise. Well, I like Kaiju. I've been absolutely loving 13 Sentinels so far. I like me some big city destroying monsters. I feel lied to. What is this? Yeah, listen, Roblox isn't perfect. Despite being as graphically simple as it is, I still can't seem to get a steady frame rate for seemingly no reason. You can't see it because I render all my videos in 24 frames, but trust me, it's very choppy. Also, I guess there's some shady business happening with Roblox, the company behind it, I mean. That's never good. I don't know very much. I'm certainly not involved, but just treat everyone right, company or not. And there is a lot of trashy and abusive games here, but when you shift through all of that, there are some truly impressive gems here that I think would appeal to everyone, and I think it's just a shame. Because I can't help but feel that there are so many people who feel guilty or embarrassed to play Roblox when they probably shouldn't be. There are so many great games here. Roblox is a guilty pleasure for me, and I'm sure it is for many others, but I don't think it should be. With all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. If you liked the video, then like it, and if you want to see more, then maybe consider subscribing. I do have a Twitter. It's not new or anything. I just never mentioned it before now. So if you want to hear more occasional rambling, then follow me there. Once you've done that, then I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next video.